What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson. As always, I'm joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, how you doing, man?
Better now that I'm talking to you guys. I just put a very angry toddler to bed, but we are doing something that I love to do. We are going to talk to someone that is involved in the wrestling business, something that we get to do from time to time. So, as I always say, don't let me talk too much. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. So our next guest tonight is a self-professed professional mic holder. He does commentary, ring announcing, post-production, AV, graphic design, you name it, he's tried it. You've probably seen him in GCW, Action Wrestling, Retinal Wrestling, JCW, Zicky Dice's Outlandish Paradise, Global Force Wrestling, TWE in Chattanooga. The list goes on. Carmen Childers. Carmen, how are you? Thank you for joining us, man.
Man, it's so good to be on here. I was waiting for that list to finally end. I'm checking off the list. I'm like, okay, we're like a quarter of the way there. Like, we're almost there.
Yeah, no, just scratching the surface. We got to save all the fun stuff for the actual conversation. So, no, we greatly appreciate you having you on, I should say. But let's dive right on into. Would you? I swear to God, you just. Can't
I didn't say a word.
Slide. No, but you also give that. You know what?
Didn't say a word.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's all good. It's all good. Let's regroup here. So at the Wrestling Junkies podcast, we look at people, wrestlers, heels, villains, you name it. Everybody's got an origin story. Carmen, tell us about some of your earliest memories of pro wrestling.
Oh, man. So the earliest thing I actually remember, oddly enough, was the Bash at the Beach NWO formation. That's the very first memory that I have as far as wrestling. But my late grandmother would always tell me, like, the only thing that would get me to settle down in my crib was, like, if Sting was on TV, I would just, like, plant myself still and just, like, stare at the TV. Something about the colorful face paint, the flat top haircut, everything, like, just enamored with Sting. I was him quite literally every single year for Halloween. And when I tell people that, they're like, oh, yeah, cool. And I'm like, no, literally every single year without fail. Like, there was never a question. It would be like, there wasn't, what do you want to be for Halloween this year? It was like, here's your face paint.
Awesome. And I'm sure it's evolved over the years as far as, going from the color to the crow to, TNA run, Wolfpack, Joker. Yeah, that's to be.
Oddly enough, we had a Halloween show at New South, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago, maybe. And I actually did the full Wolfpack Sting, had the red gloves, red face paint on commentary. I'm just sweating my butt off doing play-by-play, but I'm like, I'm Wolfpack Sting, damn it.
So I think that begs the question now, like, now that Sting's retired, how are we going to go to bed now?
I was there in the building, and I really thought I was going to be very emotional. I was like, dude, this is like a big part of my childhood, like, ending in front of me. But oddly enough, like, I don't know, it's just like such a overwhelming sense of nostalgia being there. Yeah. Like, literally, you can ask anyone that was around me the entire time the match was going on, like, from the opening package through the entrances, all the way through the match. I was just standing there, arms crossed, just smiling ear to ear, which is odd for me because, like, being in the wrestling business, I'm very cynical. I'm always, kind of opinionated. Oh, I wouldn't do it that way, or well, I can see how the sausage is made there. Yeah. But that match, it just shut off, swapped into fan mode, and enjoyed it. It was great.
So you saw that bump live, huh?
I did.
Man. All right, Eric, I'm sorry. We'll get back to you here in a second.
It's all good, yeah.
How was that spot live?
I felt like I was commentating GCW again. I was joking around with my friends next to me. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize I'd be seeing Sting's first GCW match tonight.
That's crazy.
The Darby, man, he's insane. I'll tell you that. Like, not that there was ever a question about it, but seeing that live, like, once I saw the ladder being set up, I was like, oh no, they're about to do the same They're about to do the same Jeff Hardy spot, except now through the glass. It's odd
Man.
that he was fine coming out of that, and then a week
Yeah.
later breaks his foot.
Yep.
Yeah, and a normal singles match. Yeah,
Yep.
that sounds about right. All right, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
So how soon did you realize like the importance of good commentary and like a good commentary team and the overall presentation of professional wrestling?
Oh man. So I guess it wasn't really that apparent to me at first. Uh, my story is kind of an odd one. Like when I first got my foot in the business, it was through Southern Honor Wrestling, and that was helping out on the AV side. And then through the pandemic, there was an opportunity to ring announce for New South for their pre-shows, which I hopped on. And then it was literally like I just got thrown in onto commentary. I thought I was going to hate it. I actively fought it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Just one match, see how it goes. Got on there with John Mosley, who GCW, Action, TWE, all around the Southeast scene. Thought we had a pretty good chemistry right off the bat. And then hop off commentary after the match. Next time I come around, the next show that we had, I show up expecting just to ring announce the pre-show, and they're like, "You're on commentary now." So like, we had that chemistry, and when people would tell us like, "Hey, like y'all are good together," it never really clicked. And then I started watching some more independent wrestling promotions out there, and there's a very mixed bag when it comes to independent wrestling commentary. And I think bad commentary will make someone turn off a wrestling show more than anything. I have put on some like almost what you would call a super show with like some of the biggest names, and like if the commentary is bad, like it's either getting muted or I'm turning it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So, to kind of piggyback on that, what does pre-event preparation or production look like for you if you're ring announcing or commentating?
Depends on the day. If it's New South, I am doing quite literally everything. I handle all the graphic design, all the video, like entrance videos. I handle all the production setup the day of, which that kind of ties into my day-to-day job. I work as a stagehand and audio-visual engineer. So,
nice.
So like I'll set up the projector screen, all the audio, all the recording equipment. From there, it just depends on where I'm at. Like, I love shows where everything's already set up for me. I love shows. I just show up. I'm like, hey, what are we doing? They're like, here's the card. Some shows will even be like, here's how everyone wants to be announced, or here's commentary notes. I'm like, awesome.
Cool.
Or there's shows I show up to and they're like, hey, I trust you. Just
yeah.
Those are really good.
Nice.
So it varies. Oh man. I don't know. Like, so for me, especially if it's a bigger show, like if it's GCW or something, a lot of times when I end up on commentary there, I'm just around and they're like, let's get Carmen on a few matches. So I will actually like take notes in advance of going there because like I don't know what matches I'm going to be on. So like sometimes I get thrown on a match or two, or like here a couple weeks ago, I got thrown on as the lead play-by-play for Jersey Championship Wrestling. Like I never know what I'm going to do, so I always try to come prepared for those. But otherwise, like I've done shows where I show up and it's just, hey, we didn't have the card ready until now. Here it is. Also, show starts in 30 minutes. So like, it depends. It's a mixed bag. I enjoy it all. Just there's something very creative about commentary that I really love to tap into. Like before it was music, I toured in a band. I was a singer for the longest time. Before that, I was a painter. Like I would do sketches, stuff like that. So it satisfies that creative itch in me. Like I can craft stories, sometimes out of nothing. Sometimes a match happens, like there's not really a story, but you have to latch on to something and explain why this is happening.
Yeah. So Eric went through your resume. You have quite the resume. Like he kept going. I'm sure he could have kept going if we wanted to be here all night. But as far as matches, are there one or two that stick out where you were like, man, I got to call that?
So the first one that comes to mind is about about 4 months into me doing commentary. We brought in Danhausen and Mike Bennett to New South, and they decide that we don't want to have just a fun comedy match. We don't want to take it easy. I know we're working twice tonight, but let's go all out, give people a match to remember. So that's the first one that sticks out because I was 4 months in. And like watching back now, like I'm proud that I got to do it. But now that I know everything I know, I'm like, oh man, I could have done that so differently. And then I told Danhausen at Ashes to Ashes uh, last weekend, 2 weekends ago. I don't know. Time's an illusion. But I got to call his match with Charles Mason. And I said, I finally feel vindication now because now I get to call one of your matches and know what I'm doing. So that's it. And then also, I was asked to do commentary alongside Nick Manawa, who's a very good friend of mine, for Larry D's last match. And that one got me a little bit because being asked to do something like as serious as someone's last match, like, is a lot of weight on me on that. I'm like, that's really cool that I was chosen to do that. Like, and I felt like Manawa and I we did it justice.
Love that. Love that. So let's take that and expand on that a little bit. Jim Ross has always looked at the art of commentating as providing lyrics to the music that is being created by the wrestlers. What would you say? What role is it that a good ring announcer or a play-by-play person has in enhancing the quality of the matches, of the talent, without necessarily stepping on the music that they're creating in the ring?
For ring announcing, I really think it's just setting the tone. I have been to a lot of independent shows where ring announcers, just kind of say, all right, here's so and so. And it really doesn't build anticipation for the match.
Yeah.
I try to add that little oomph in the ring announcing to show everyone like, okay, here we go. We're about to go into something very cool. And then on commentary, like, everything needs a story. Whether it's a fun comedy match, whether it's a match with no heat going into it, thrown together, last minute replacement, whatever it is, like, it's my job to find something in the match and kind of latch onto it.
Okay.
Because ultimately, if we don't show that we care, then why should the fans care?
Exactly.
Yeah. Can agree
great
more.
Great answer. You've called a few events with Rob Weathers.
Yeah.
How did you guys first meet?
Oh, man. So Rob and I were Twitter friends, I believe. We would DM back and forth, just like, man, one day we got to get in the booth together. We got to get in the booth. And we had an opening on commentary at New South for my color position. And we had decided, okay, we're going to hold auditions. Each show, we're going to try out someone new. There was even as wild of ideas of, like, I think we can get Ted DiBiase in to do commentary with you. I'm like, well, let's save our money here. Let's not go crazy. But we had planned on bringing in Walker Stewart to do a tryout. But, like, there was a month before him where we didn't have anyone lined up. And I said, Rob, this is your chance to get in here. Like, we need to make this happen. So he came in, thought he absolutely crushed it, and I immediately went to Dump Sanders and Brandon Williams, the owners of New South. I'm like, this is our guy. Like, we can go ahead and stop now. Like, this is our guy. Like, we instantly had that connection. Like, I thought we had a really good flow together, and it's only gotten better since then. And now we're like, companies are hiring us as a team
Yeah.
to come in and do commentary like all across the Southeast now.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, what would you say is the key to building chemistry with a commentary partner?
Not to be a cop out answer or anything, but sometimes it's just natural. Like sometimes it's just there, but other times it's just kind of feeling the flow, not talking over each other. It's a lot of nonverbal cues. It's kind of looking at each other and like, okay, like I'm about to set you up for something, and like you can lead in and like ask a question or like really point the sentence and know that they're going to take the ball and go right the direction you want them to.
You hear that, Chris?
I want you to hear that. I want you to hear that.
All right.
Now,
Good to know.
With that being said, piece of advice that Dave Prazak gave me is first or second time we had done commentary together. I can't remember. I was just sort of down on myself. I'm like, I just don't feel like I did a good job. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you did great. I was like, I kept talking over you. He said, that happens in every conversation. Like, in day-to-day life, you'll talk over your friends. Like, we're human.
Yeah.
Like, that happens. Like, don't worry about it. Don't stress.
Yeah, I think we've gotten better, Eric. But
Yeah. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
Do I need to break out the notepad?
for him,
Tell me how you really feel.
for him. So you spent some time, over the last month as part of the AEW ring crew for Dynamite Collision tapings. What do those production days look like behind the scenes?
Oh, man. I absolutely love when wrestling comes to town. So, like I said, part of my day-to-day job, I work stagehand. I work stagehand union, rather. Like, I've done everything from Slipknot, Rolling Stones, Kenny Chesney, Young Jeezy. Like, it's all over the place. It's just whoever is in town, and everyone there knows me as, like, the wrestling guy. And they're all, like, rooting me on. They want me to get signed and all this. So, like, anytime WWE or AEW comes to town, it's immediately like, okay, he's on this show.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is when the show comes to town, they're like, oh, wait, you're the wrestling guy? Come here. And they, like, take me under their wing. And then, like, I get to ask questions through the day. And, like, I kind of get special treatment all through the day. It's great. So with the AEW show, I'd worked ring crew a couple times. I've worked for their audio production as well, like just helping set stuff up. And then this time, I showed up just to drop off my hard hat, everything backstage, so I could actually go around and actually go to my seat that I bought for the show. And Bob with the ring crew, shout out to Bob, shout out to Bird and Boomer and Jerry, all the ring crew. But while I was backstage, started talking to some friends like, oh, hey, Mike Bennett, what's up? Like, whatever else. And someone comes up to me, they're like, hey, go get a pass from the ring crew. I was like, what? And
Wow.
one of the guys
Awesome.
came up to me and was like, hey, come sit with us tonight. And I was like, okay. So ended up getting to sit ringside. Got to see Sting come down from the rafters one last time.
That's awesome.
But it was an
that had to
excellent
be a
view all
moment.
night. Got to ask questions. Got to pick some brains. So
Like it.
always a good time.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen a few of our former guests on the show that get those opportunities, and it just always looks like the coolest experience to spend a day in the life, But anyway, so ETU and Dragon Gate have a show coming up, Unlock the Unexpected, during WrestleMania weekend. The Wrestling Junkies are one of the proud sponsors of that show. You said, and I quote, that you would sell your soul to call Ultimo Dragon's match. What is it about Ultimo Dragon that makes him such what is it about his music that you want to give your lyrics?
So for me personally, obviously I was a huge Sting fan growing up, but I wasn't the kid who was like super big into Goldberg, into Kevin Nash, into Hulk Hogan. I was the kid that was into the cruiserweights. Like I loved Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrera, Psychosis, Ultimo Dragon, Eddie Guerrero. I loved like the Ravens, the name redacteds, the Saturns. like I loved the undercard of WCW, and I've had the chance now to call quite a few Juventud Guerrero matches. Got to drive him around, pick his brain a little bit. Was supposed to call Juventud versus Psychosis, but Psychosis had some issues where he couldn't get into the country. But to me, the WCW Cruiserweights really shaped my life in a way that I can't really explain. Like I can still hear Mike Tenay's voice, like calling their matches.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more of like it's coming full circle, like back to what really got me into wrestling.
Yeah.
And then,
and
then plus like when my brother he passed away a few years ago, but when we were young, we would always play WCW NWO Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
We'd always be a tag team, and we would almost always we'd be a team of Psychosis and Juventud. But occasionally we'd mix it up. We'd be like Chris Jericho and Ultimo Dragon, like.
Nice.
But we'd always play tag team mode, and it would always be those like cruiserweight guys.
Yeah,
love it.
No,
I will be there for the ETU show.
Yeah.
I've got Braden, Alec, and Marcus all on the show, so I'm gonna go support them. I'll be in the crowd, and if my number's called, then I'd love to hop in the booth. But I'll be
his number. Call his number. He's there.
Hey,
put him in, coach.
I'm just saying, my resume kind of speaks for itself. I'm just saying.
It does. It does. I mean, that wasn't even half of it that I read.
I was gonna say, if you need somebody to tell him, Eric can do that. So, in addition to all your various production duties, you're also the general manager of Retinal Pro Wrestling. How do you feel that your various roles in wrestling have prepared you for this opportunity?
I have always been someone who sort of dives all the way into things. Like back when I was in a band, like I was the singer, but I was like, well, I need to learn all these songs on guitar just in case. Or like I need to handle all the business so I know what it's like on that side. And it's kind of the same in wrestling where, I mean, obviously do the ring announcing and commentary, and it's just sort of blown up from there. Doing production. I'm in the office at New South. Now I'm general managing at Retinal. It's just really, I want to absorb as much knowledge as I can. I want to see things from as many perspectives as I can. I mean, hell, I've wrestled a few times now too. So like,
nice.
I feel like everything that I do helps me take something away to give me a better perspective in other areas.
Well said. Well said. Speaking of music, since you have a musical background and you also spend a lot of time on the road from promotion to promotion, take us through what's on your road trip playlist.
Oh man, I've always been someone who just kind of puts it on shuffle. Mm-hmm. So like I'm driving around, it may be like main thing is Linkin Park. They're my number one favorite band. Saw them 10 times. I think I met Chester 3 times. Got to sing with him once, which was awesome.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
I've got his signature tattooed on my leg here. But it hops around. Like it'll go from that to like Wage War, A Day to Remember, Bring Me the Horizon, but then it'll go to like 50 Cent and Young Jeezy and Lil Wayne, and then it'll go to like, I don't know, like some country artist or Poppy. Like it's just all over the place. Like, and I don't question it. Like if I'm driving around and it's, say like one of the old deathcore songs from Bring Me the Horizon, and then it ends and immediately goes into It's Gonna Be Me by NSYNC. I'm like, okay, and just start singing along. Like I like what I like, and it's one of those I'm driving around, I'm just like, yeah, I got good taste.
Yeah, we've been on a couple road trips, and we definitely learned a lot about Eric on those road trips.
Hey, you want to talk, dude?
Funny you mentioned Poppy. I literally just saw her last Wednesday, so that was that's funny.
With Avenged?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It was a great show.
God, I've seen them
A
8
lot.
times, maybe.
Yeah. I've seen them a lot. It's well, again, we could go into a whole metal music podcast that Eric would he would just be quiet. But as I was saying, I've been on a couple road trips with Eric now. And the last one, we ended up going to Waffle House, and he ate half a
Yeah.
waffle. So I need
It was
to know,
late at night. You know what? All right.
quiet down. I need to know, what is your go-to Waffle House order?
Ooh, that's tough. It
It is
alternates.
tough. It does. I always
It
have
depends
my
on what
go-to.
mood I'm in.
Yeah,
It depends
that's fair.
if I'm in a breakfast mood or if I'm in a dinner mood. And at 3 a.m., it can alternate. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's the Texas toast bacon burger, but sometimes I just want a waffle and some bacon. Like it just, I
fair.
don't know. Got to feel the vibes.
Hear that, Eric?
fair.
Also, if the Waffle House isn't shady, I don't want it. You got to walk in and immediately be like, I probably shouldn't be here, but you know what?
Yeah.
See what happens. And then it's
I'll tell
always
you.
the best.
I'll tell you, go to a Waffle House on the east side of Indianapolis. That is an experience.
No, I wasn't in Indianapolis. It was in Indiana, and my car got stuck, and I had
Oh,
to
shit.
sit in. So it was my cursed trip to is my Chicago loop earlier this year. Is when the blizzard came through.
Yes.
So I had GCW in Chicago, Generation Next in Jeffersonville, Indiana,
Yeah.
and then I had Naptown in Indianapolis, and lost my car keys in the snow in Chicago. Had to get a tow to the Toyota facility. It was like almost $600 to get a replacement key.
Oof.
And then I was like, I'm going to be so late to my gig. I messaged Larry and Max and was like, hey, I'm not going to make it in time, but my hotel is there. So I'm still going to come hang out. Got there, I think 2 more matches left. This is at the world famous arena. So I didn't get to make my debut, but I did get to visit. And then we all went to Waffle House afterwards. And all 8 had a good time. They left. I went to leave, and as I'm driving out of the parking lot, my car just... And I realized the parking lot I was driving over was actually ice. And I was driving over a ditch. So the ice caved in.
Dang.
My front end stuck in the ditch. Had to wait like 3 or 4 hours for AAA to come get me out. Went to my hotel, basically took a nap, woke up in the morning, and then drove to Indianapolis for my next gig. It was one of the most cursed trips I've ever been on.
Wow.
Man, hopefully
This
those
is
are.
This was the first trip I had been on after leaving my full-time job in order to fully pursue wrestling.
Yeah.
I've still got my stagehand like a side gig, but like
Yeah.
I left my full-time job for wrestling, and this was the universe's way. Like, you sure about that?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm still chugging along.
Yeah.
I'm still making the drives. So
That's funny.
Hey, can't let
a good story.
a little snow stop you, you know. But we have been talking all things Carmen Childers for about 28 minutes now, so we're gonna give you the spotlight to shine on other people in the industry, whether they're wrestlers, ring announcers, referees, anybody that we should be keeping an eye on as we keep going through 2024.
oh man, who do I want to put over? Ooh, obviously Rob Weathers. Him and I have come together. Like I said, is maybe a little over a year ago that we got together as commentary partners, but like, man's really become my best friend, and I think he is so underrated when it comes to his commentary. I feel like if more promotions heard what him and I were doing, like it would open a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
And especially him, man. He's got a good heart. Trying to think. Jameson Shook from TWE. He's one of Jaden Newman's students. He has been absolutely killing it. He's about a year and a couple months into the business. Already had well over 100 matches. He's been traveling, hitting the roads. Braden Toon, Hunter Drake, they've both been traveling the country nonstop. Same with the WWA 4 kids, too. Rico Gonzalez, Bobby Flacco, Mr. Danger, Teriyaki. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting being put on the spot, but like it is so refreshing going to Chicago and New Jersey and New York City and like seeing all these familiar faces because there's this like one small group of talent in the Southeast that is so hungry to like not just be content being in the Southeast. They want to travel. Sure. They want to learn. They want the experience. And it is so refreshing seeing them everywhere I go and just knowing like we're really doing the damn thing. So
no,
it feels good.
We need to get some more people up in Ohio. That's what we need to. That's what we need to get going in 2024. Because as much as I like being in a car with Eric for 9 hours, to go down to Georgia, I would much rather.
Speaking of Ohio, Phoenix Nitro is someone I did commentary with for Naptown, and he's now doing commentary for Wrestling Revolver. And I think he has got quite the future. I know he's still relatively fresh to the commentary thing, if I remember correctly, and like I would love to work with him again, like especially in Wrestling Revolver. Like that's been like a bucket list promotion for me for so long. Like there's a list of like bucket list places I want to go, but I would love to work with Phoenix again. He's got a good future ahead of him.
Yeah, well, here's hoping that resume keeps getting longer and longer. But we've come to the point now where it's going to be the hardest question of the entire podcast.
Oh no.
Are you ready?
Is that the question?
No. Mr. WrestleMania. When you hear Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels? Is it The Undertaker? And Eric always says there's no wrong answer, but there is.
Because there is no wrong answer.
Yes,
I feel like the internet is going to hate me no matter what I say.
Well, that's just anything.
Yeah.
Oh man. If you're looking at like overall performance, I would probably lean towards Shawn Michaels. But when you think of iconic, you think of the Undertaker streak. And I think that is going to that myth of the Undertaker streak is going to live almost forever. Even though they didn't, break it, and then he came back, and then he lost again, and then he squashed John Cena, then faced Shane McMahon for some reason. Like,
we don't talk about that part of it, but
let's just pretend it ended at 29 and call it a day.
That's right. That's right.
There we go.
That's right, and that was the right answer, by the way. So thank you for saying that. Your boy's on a hot streak with the Undertaker right now. So
that's fair. The pendulum, it was bound to swing back. It's fine. You don't see me freaking out about it. It's all right. It's okay.
Not yet. I know he's over there shaking.
Not really. God, you wish. Anyway, Carmen, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, tell everybody what you got coming up over the next few weeks / months, and where can everybody find you on social media?
Oh, man. I feel like the best way to know what I'm doing is to follow me on social media because I am I am all around. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at CarmenMChilders. That's CarMen, the letter M, Childers, Childers. I'm 32 shows into the year so far, and we're only on not to date this podcast or anything. It's March 19th, and I'm 32 shows in. I've got about 40 or 50 more lined up, confirmed, working on others. So I'm looking to stay extra busy. So if you're hearing this and want to check out my stuff, my resume is available on my social media, and there's a little QR code you can scan or hit my link tree. And you can actually watch some samples of my ring announcing, commentary, interviews, whatever you may like. And keep me booked and busy, please.
Love it. You heard the man.
Yeah.
Keep him booked and busy.
This is this was awesome. Thank you so much again for joining us, and best of luck this year. We can't wait to see what you do next. And we'll definitely have to have you back on and get you in front of a live mic.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
No problem. For Carmen Childers, for the podcast dad, and Mr. Cincinnati, this has been a special episode of the Wrestling Junkies podcast, and we'll talk to you guys soon.